In this video, we're going to talk about the structures of the heart and the function of the heart, and we're going to explain how blood flows through the heart to the lungs, back to the heart, and to the body. So let's start with the left and right sides of the heart. Imagine that this heart has been taken out of the chest and put on the table. So what is actually left to you is the right-hand side of the heart, shown here in blue, and what is right is actually the left-hand side of the heart. Let's deal with the chambers. There are 4 chambers of the heart first. The thinner walled upper chambers are called atrium, an atrium singular or atria plural. This is the right atria, this is the left atria. I remember it by A is at the beginning of the alphabet, the atria are at the top of the heart. Down the bottom here are another 2 chambers called ventricles, the right ventricle and the left ventricle. Ventricles are at the bottom, V is at the end of the alphabet. So those are the 4 chambers, and then we need to deal with the blood vessels that bring blood to the chamber or take blood away from the chamber. Let's start with these vessels here, which we call, there's actually 2 of them, but we call them the vena cava. They are the largest vein in the body. Then this blood vessel here, leaving the right-hand side of the heart, is called the pulmonary artery, and coming back into the left-hand side of the heart is the pulmonary vein. These 2, pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein, are called pulmonary because pulmonary relates to the lungs. One takes blood to the lungs and one brings blood back from the lungs. And the last blood vessel is this large blood vessel at the top here. In fact, the biggest blood vessel in the human body, called the aorta. The aorta takes blood to the rest of the body. 2 more structures that we need to talk about within the heart is this wall down the middle of the heart, separating the right-hand side from the left-hand side. This is called the septum, and it prevents oxygenated blood in the left-hand side from mixing with deoxygenated blood on the right-hand side. And most importantly, these valves here, 1, 2, 3, 4, are flaps of skin, flaps of tissue that prevent blood from flowing backwards, prevent blood from going back from the ventricle back into the atrium where it's already been, and force it out of the pulmonary artery to the lungs. So we're going to move on and see blood actually flowing through this heart. We're going to track it as it makes its way through the heart. So let's do step through. I'm going to pause it on the first stage. Here we see blood coming through the vena cava from the body. The blood is deoxygenated, so it's shown in blue, and it enters the right atrium. As blood fills the atria contract, forcing blood through this valve. The valve will open and blood will flow into the right ventricle. Okay, there you can see the ventricles filling up. The right ventricle has filled up with deoxygenated blood, and as it fills up, it will contract, causing this valve to close and forcing it out of this blood vessel here, which we said is the pulmonary artery. There goes the blood from the pulmonary artery to, pulmonary means lungs, so it's going to the lungs. Why? Because it needs to be reoxygenated. When blood comes back from the lungs, it comes in via the pulmonary vein into the left atrium. Blood fills the left atrium, forcing this valve open as it contracts, and blood will fill the ventricle. You'll notice that the walls of the left ventricle are thicker because they need to pump blood under high blood pressure to the rest of the body. So as this ventricle now contracts, it forces blood out through this large artery called the aorta to the rest of the body. This blood is oxygenated, bright red blood, ready to go and oxygenate the tissues and supply oxygen to all the cells of the body for respiration. So That goes through the structures, function of the heart, and how blood flows through the heart. Obviously, the function of the heart, it's central to the circulatory system. The main function of the heart, the primary function of the heart, is to pump blood around the body so that waste and nutrients can be removed and delivered from different tissues.